Welcome to Tastefully Home. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jen. And today I have a Ukrainian recipe. It's called pierogis, and I don't know if you've heard of it before.
I have heard of them. I've had the Schwann's pierogis or the ones that you buy at the grocery store, but never homemade ones, so I'm anxious to try these.
All right. Well, I called our neighbor one night and said I was making pierogis. Why don't you come over? Because when you make them, you get a lot of them. And he misunderstood me and thought I had said something like karaoke. So this does not come with a song. They're pierogis.
Yeah, we won't be singing on this show.
No, so. It was pretty cute. He's like, what are you making? So John, they're pierogis. And what they are is just kind of like a pasta noodle dough, and then you use your leftover mashed potatoes or even just your leftover potatoes that you mash. They also can be made with sauerkraut or cabbage, which doesn't sound good to me, so I
think that sounds good, but yeah.
Well, we can make them for you another day.
That's okay.
I usually do mashed potatoes with cheese, and then you throw in some bacon and onion, and they're just really good. Now, if you've had pierogis before and you didn't like them because they were slimy, it's because they were cooked wrong, according to me. A lot of people do boil them, but we will boil them to cook them, and then you save them in your fridge or freezer that way, but I have always ate them fried in a frying pan with butter. And then they get crispy, and they are so good.
And I know you said you almost dip them in sour cream as well. So
or ranch dressing.
Right.
So they're very, very good. So the ingredients that you will need is 3 to 4 cups of flour.
Okay.
And I actually go light on the flour. I just find that it was definitely easier to roll out.
Right.
And then a teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
So not very much salt. 2 tablespoons of melted butter.
Okay.
That go in as well. And then I think the key ingredient, because I've seen several recipes and I've tried several recipes and I haven't liked them. My mom used to buy them from grandmothers that sold them at churches, at bazaars and stuff like that. And I just haven't been able to get that taste that I wanted. And I think the key ingredients is the evaporated milk.
Okay.
It's usually with water or regular milk.
Okay.
The evaporated milk in a can, I think, is what did it. And then just half a cup of water, but I didn't use all the water as well. It's just more to moisten the dough to make sure it doesn't get too thick. So if you want to put in, I guess, 2.5 cups of flour.
Okay.
That will start us off, and you want to use a knife?
No, I'll just use this one if you don't mind.
And what we'll do is put the flour and salt in, and then you just kind of make a little well or a little hole in the middle, and then we'll put the liquid in there.
Okay, now, when we made the noodles, I put in too much flour, so 2.5 cups, right?
2.5 cups.
I want to be sure I do it correctly this time.
I start out small. It says 3 to 4, but I started out with 2.5 and then mix everything in and then gradually add the rest of the flour. And I will put the 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and we'll get this melted while you're measuring that out.
I know when I think, or the first time I had pierogis, they're almost, and I don't want to say this, and be completely wrong, but it's almost like a ravioli, but with the mashed potatoes in it, it's
very similar to that.
Right, exactly.
Yep, but
so if people haven't had them, that's kind of what you can compare it to, but very hearty and very filling because you have the mashed potatoes in there. So
you want to throw in the salt and then mix it around.
1 teaspoon of salt.
1 teaspoon.
Okay.
It's not close. Yep, and we'll just mix that around and get it ready, and then the butter and evaporated milk will go in
as well.
Yep, and then we'll just kind of stir it around. It'll be pretty sticky, and then that's when I'll add in a little bit of flour as well.
Now, is this a recipe that you could make ahead of time and freeze?
Not the...
After you've
done them, yes, and that's how I actually do them. I will make them because I think this will make about 4 dozen, and I would put 12 in a little baggie with some more butter and onion, and then I'll put them in the freezer, and then I take them out and then just let them defrost and fry a dozen. 2 adults. About 6 pierogis with maybe a salad or something is definitely plenty.
A meal. Okay.
And here's your butter.
Okay.
The recipe says to gently mix everything in, but whoops.
I don't know what added ingredient.
I didn't know really what gently pour meant, so I just poured it all in and just kind of mixed it up exactly like that until all the flour was mixed in. And then we'll just add a half a cup of flour and mix more in. And then keep doing that until we kind of get a ball that we can work with.
Yeah, I can see where this is still a little moist.
And then one of the things you'll want to do once you do get that ball, you kind of let it sit for maybe 10-15 minutes just so it can I don't know what it does. I guess I can't really say. It just sits. But you'll want to cover it so it doesn't dry out. And usually what I do is work with, you know, maybe a third of it and roll that out. And while I'm working with that piece of dough, I keep the dough covered because I find if I don't, it dries out a little bit quicker. Okay. All right, you want to add maybe half? I suppose you could have done that too.
Oh, that's all right. You can watch and learn. And then just keep mixing.
Yeah, just keep mixing. What we're looking for is to get a dough that we can work with. And then probably after you mix this one, we'll probably have to get our hands in there.
Okay, I was going to say that would probably be the easiest thing to do at this point.
And what I did at this point in time was just put another cup of flour in there, but I ended up with a lot of flour in the bottom of my bowl, which is fine.
Okay.
You know, you don't want to mix it all in because then it gets too stiff.
Right.
So I'll maybe add a little bit more and then we can work with it. The key is to be able to roll it out very thin, especially these. If you don't get them thin enough, it seems like they're just too thick and chewy, and that's not the goal. So do you want to work with it or do you want me to?
Yeah, watch you do it.
All right, so I'm just going to mix this together, and I wouldn't worry about, you know, how much flour you have at the bottom.
Okay.
I ended up with quite a bit, which was fine. Your goal is just to get this kind of worked into a ball so it's not falling apart on you. So, you know, you need it kind of sticky. The more you work with it in the flour, of course.
Right.
So I'm just going to kind of get this sticky again and sticking together so I can add this to it. And then I did leave it more on the sticky side because you can always add flour to it when you're rolling it out. And if we don't get this all mixed in, it's fine too. And what I did find when I am rolling it out, and maybe it's just me, but the reason why I worked with it in thirds is because once I roll it out and I cut my circles out, I found, because you have so much, you know, extra, I tried to roll it back out and I could not get it as thin. So I usually just discard that. And even by doing that, I still ended up with 3 to 4 dozen pierogies. So, you know, if you're really worried about it, you can try, but I just thought that's plenty.
Oh, yeah.
So this little ball of dough goes pretty far. Yep.
It's kind of like the noodles did, too.
Yep. So as soon as I'm just going to keep working this, and I'll probably maybe just do some on the table now. See if I can get maybe some of this mixed in better, but just really knead it. And what you're trying to do is get this nice and smooth.
Okay.
So these pieces probably won't mix in, and that's fine. You just want to get it smooth. And then it did say to transfer it to another bowl that's greased, but I didn't. I basically just left it like this in the floured bowl because it's not going to stick. So that's kind of what you're looking for. And then I put it in the bowl and I just covered it with a towel and just let it sit for 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
And what I did while this is sitting, it's probably 10 minutes, I went to my mashed potato mixture and got that ready. So it's kind of the perfect time. So
to get the mashed potatoes.
You have a towel to cover it.
Yep, we can do that.
Set.
Sneak in behind you here. And
all right, so we will do our mashed potatoes.
Okay.
And I actually have some that are mashed, and then I do have leftover boiled potatoes that I'm having you kind of squish. And this doesn't matter. This kind of is not measured. You just kind of eyeball it. Whatever you've got. You know, once you run out of mashed potatoes, you just throw your dough away if you've got leftover dough. So you just whatever, I would say probably if I was making potatoes, I'd make maybe 5 to 6 more mashed potatoes just so I have extra. So this is quite a bit. This potato mixture will go further than our dough, but that's fine. So, whoops, if you want to mix that in, what you do, I'm just kind of ballparking this, but, and I'm pretty generous. I put in about a cup of grated cheese, and it doesn't matter what kind, and I honestly just sprinkle it in till it looks good. I mix it up. If it looks like it needs more cheese, I put some more in. And now this is kind of my own recipe, but I put in bacon bits. It just gives it better flavor, and I didn't want to fry for time. I didn't want to fry up bacon, but you could. But I did find this stuff. It's real bacon, and it really is. It's not like the bottled stuff, so it smells and looks just like real bacon. So I'll put some of that in.
And you want me to add the rest of these?
Yep. Okay. And then I will add in some onion, just some chopped onion. You can chop your own onion, but because this is going inside I just thought this would be just as easy.
Okay.
And then I did add some dill just for some color and then for the taste. I just thought mashed potatoes, dill, and bacon cheese sounded good. But you can put in anything that you like.
Chives or...
Yep, anything. But I just thought I'd try some dill, and chives would be perfect as well. And then you just mix this up. And once you get the mixture going, that fly is stinky.
We've got a
my potato
fly here today.
Smells good. I'm gonna see now. It's pretty potato looking still, so I'm gonna put in just a little bit more cheese, just because I like the cheese. And then once we get this mixed up, we'll might as well finish up the egg.
Okay.
We will roll out the dough. So you get this ready so that you're ready to go. If you want to just maybe mix all that up. And if you think it needs more bacon, let me know. I will pull out the dough now. It's been sitting for a while, and I'm just going to break off just a third of it. It's still pretty sticky, but that's fine. And I'm going to take some of the flour that's been here, and so I can roll it out. There, and you just kind of want to work with this dough. And we're going to get this. It says to about 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
And I just shoot for as thin as I can, basically, when we roll this out. And then I try to make as many circles. And what you do, this is what I found, but you can use anything you've got at home. A glass, a cup, but you're looking for about a 3-inch circle. And this measuring cup just seemed to be sharp enough. And it doesn't really, I think a cup would do it as well if it's thin enough, but it just made the perfect circle that I needed. So if you've got anything at home, I used to do, do you remember the hamburger patty makers? It's bigger, it's about 4 inches, but that will work too if you just want bigger ones. So I will just work this out as small as I can. And then once we cut them, we fill them. And you seal them just with your fingers by pinching them together. And then you're ready just to boil them. So Melissa, as you can see, I've got this pretty thin and pliable. It's quite thin, and that's what you want. So you just kind of get it to the point where you don't think you can get it any thinner. And then I will use this, and I just basically try to make as many circle cutouts as I can, because that's where I've had difficulty when I gather up all the excess.
To roll it out
again. Roll it out again. So I just... Basically, I give it to my kids to play with because they're usually at the counter, and I just let them play with that while I roll out enough. And, you know, 4 dozen pierogies is plenty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but if you're really a diehard and want all that dough, you can roll it back up again. But while I'm doing that, what you do is you take this little circle, and you just want to kind of take, they say about a teaspoon, and you kind of get better at filling them more full, but you just kind of get it in the middle. And then you work the dough kind of into a moon shape. And you got to make sure that you pinch the dough together to seal it so that the potatoes don't come out. And we have waxed or greased the pan, or you can use wax paper for the cookie sheet. And then that's what it looks like. And then that's what you'll put in the boiling water. You'll boil. What I do is I have a pot on the stove with boiling water. I'll put in about 10 to 12 of the pierogies. And then when they come to the surface, they're done. And then I just put them in a colander to drain. And then when I'm all done making them, I'll put them into individual baggies with some butter. So if you want to take my circles and fill them, and of course, you know, like anything, the more you practice, the better you get at filling them and making them. My first ones didn't really look like pierogies. It was kind of hard to stuff them, but...
Well, we'll see what mine actually turn out like too.
But they taste the same no matter what they look like. And then you just fry them up, or you can eat them boiled. You can eat them from the moment you boil them.
Well, this is a great recipe that you could definitely, you know, use again for fall or for winter. It's a good feeling recipe for one of those days when you've been working outside.
And I like it because you can make it ahead on a Sunday or on a weekend, and then you can have them, you know, for the next couple weeks.
Exactly. Well, we hope that you're successful with the pierogies as well, and it looks like we've got a good start here too. So. This has been Tastefully Home. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jen, and we'll see you next week.